9. Normal habits are actually the signs of childhood emotional neglect. Lena got promoted on a Tuesday. Her manager said it in front of the whole team. Honestly, we'd be lost without you. Everyone clapped. And Lena, 29, 3 months into a new city and a new job, felt her chest go tight. Not proud, exposed. Like she'd been caught at something. She spent that night awake, replaying it, certain she'd somehow oversold herself and would be found out by Friday. Here's the strange part. That flinch, the one that turns a compliment into a threat, is one of 9 completely normal habits that psychologists now link to childhood emotional neglect. And you've probably done 2 or 3 of them this week without noticing. When people hear the word neglect, they picture something dramatic. An empty fridge. A locked door. But there's a quieter version that leaves no marks at all. Clinical psychologist Jonas Webb gave it a name. Childhood emotional neglect. It's not about what your parents did. It's about what didn't happen. The feeling nobody asked about. The bad day nobody noticed. A kid who was fed, clothed, driven to school, and who slowly learned that their inner world was invisible. And here's why it's so easy to miss. These signs don't feel like wounds. They feel like personality. You don't think, I apologize constantly because I learned my needs were inconvenient. You just think you're a polite person. This isn't about blaming anyone. Most parents who couldn't show up emotionally were never shown how themselves. So let's count down. 9 habits, from 9 to 1. The first one, number 1, is the one most people don't recognize until someone says it out loud. Habit 9. A compliment makes you anxious. Someone praises you, and your first move is to deflect it, shrink it, or hand it right back. Oh, it was a team thing. You half wish they'd said nothing at all. For most people, praise feels good. For you, it feels like a setup. Psychologists Jennifer Crocker and Connie Wolf described how some people stake their whole sense of worth on a single thing: other people's approval. When that's the deal, praise isn't a gift, it's currency. And currency can be taken back. So a compliment doesn't land as warmth. It lands as a bill you'll have to pay later the moment you stop being impressive. Lena read that promotion email 4 times. Not to enjoy it. To check it for the catch. She didn't hear we'd be lost without you as kindness. She heard a bar she now had to keep clearing. Forever. And if approval feels that dangerous, watch what it does to the next habit, the one that comes out of your mouth before you've even decided to say it. Habit 8. You apologize for existing. Not the normal kind. The reflex kind. Sorry for asking a question. Sorry when someone walks into you. Sorry there's a single cup in the sink. Researchers June Tangney and Rhonda Deering drew a clean line between 2 emotions we tend to blur together. Guilt is about a behavior, the sense that you did something bad. Shame is about the self, the sense that you are bad. Chronic apologizing isn't guilt. It's shame, wearing the costume of good manners. It's a child who decided, very early, that taking up space was the problem and started saying sorry before anyone could confirm it. If you've ever apologized to a piece of furniture you bumped into, this one's yours. And you're in a lot of company. Some people shrink with words. The next group does it by managing everyone else in the room. Habit 7. You keep the peace at your own expense. You read a room in seconds and adjust. You agree when you don't. You smooth things over before they're even rough. You'd call it being easygoing. You've heard the old list: fight, flight, freeze. Therapist Pete Walker added a 4th. The fawn response. When a child can't fight and can't run, they learn to appease. To become useful. Agreeable. Small, because that's what kept the danger down. Now I want to be honest about something. Some people will call this manipulation. It isn't. A kid learning to manage a volatile room wasn't scheming. They were surviving. There is nothing calculating about a child trying not to get hurt. So if anyone ever made you feel manipulative for being accommodating, they misread the whole story. The next habit is quieter. It isn't about other people at all. It's about the silence inside you. Habit 6. Someone asks how you feel, and you genuinely don't know. Not because you're hiding it, because the word won't come. You can describe what happened in perfect detail. The feeling underneath stays blurry. Psychiatrist Peter Sifnios gave this a name in the early 1970s, alexithymia. Literally, no words for feelings. It develops in a specific way. In a healthy childhood, a parent acts as a mirror. You're frustrated because it broke. That one sentence connects a sensation in the body to a word the mind can hold. When the mirroring never happens, the wire between feeling and language doesn't get built. So you grow up fluent in everyone else's emotions and strangely foreign to your own. Ask Lena how her coworker is doing, and she'll nail it in a sentence. Ask how she's doing, and she says find the word people reach for when the real one was never installed. And because you can't read your own weather, you got very good at reading the sky for storms, which is the next one. Habit 5. When everything's going well, you brace. Life's calm, nothing's wrong, and instead of settling into it, you feel a low hum of unease. You start scanning for the thing you must be missing. Trauma researcher Bessel van der Kolk has written about how a nervous system shaped early by unpredictability stops trusting calm. It can start to read calm as the pause the breath before the next thing breaks. Because for a lot of kids, that's exactly what quiet was. It wasn't peace. It was the gap between one disruption and the next. So peace becomes something you wait out instead of something you live in. Good news arrives, and part of you is already braced for the catch. Okay, stop for a second. If you're 5 habits in and quietly counting how many are yours, hear this before we go further. There is nothing wrong with you. There never was. Every one of these started as something smart. Your brain looked at the room it was in and built exactly what it needed to keep you safe. That's a child doing extraordinary work with no instructions. Stay with me. The next 4 go deeper, and the last one is the root the other 8 grew out of. Habit 4. This one isn't a behavior. It's a memory. And you might already know exactly which one. You're at a friend's house. You're 9, maybe 10. And their mom asks how their day went, then actually waits for the answer. Or says love you on the way out the door, like it costs nothing. And something in you goes quiet and confused, like overhearing a language you didn't know you didn't speak. John Bowlby called these our internal working models, the blueprint we build, early, for what closeness is supposed to feel like. When the blueprint is missing a room, you don't notice the gap. Not until you stand in someone else's house and feel the draft. That ache, wait, it could have been like this? Isn't self-pity. It's the moment the invisible finally becomes visible. And that's where it starts. Speaking of giving and receiving, there's a habit hiding in how you do both. Habit 3. You're everyone's support, and you disappear in your own crisis. You're the one people call. The steady one. The friend who shows up at midnight. And when you fall apart, you tell no one. You handle it alone, or you don't handle it at all. Lena's friend Danny is the one the whole group leans on. When Danny's mom got sick last year, nobody knew for 3 weeks. She just kept asking everyone else how they were holding up. Here's the mechanism. If the only reliable way to earn warmth as a kid was to be useful, you learned a quiet equation. My value is what I do for people, not who I am. So giving feels safe. Receiving feels like a debt. Or a trap. Someone offers help and your first thought is, what do they want? Letting yourself be the one who needs something that's allowed. It might be the bravest thing on this whole list. The next habit happens before anything's even gone wrong. Habit 2. You rehearse conversations that haven't happened yet. A 2-line text takes you 10 minutes. Before an ordinary meeting, you've already run it 3 times in your head, every reaction, every comeback. You call it being prepared. But this didn't start with a big presentation. It started in a home where the emotional weather changed without warning, where knowing what you were walking into wasn't planning, it was protection. So your brain learned to calculate 5 moves ahead, because not calculating, once, had a cost. And it never unlearned the lesson even now, even when the room is finally safe. Lena ran her promotion meeting in her head the night before, then ran it again the morning after, hunting for the thing she got wrong. There wasn't one. She looked anyway. All of this, all 8 so far, sits on top of one belief. And that's number 1. Habit 1. Deep down, you believe you have to be your own source of everything. You handle your own problems, your own repairs, your own breakdowns. Asking for help doesn't feel humble. It feels unsafe. John Bowlby had a term for this. Compulsive self-reliance. It forms when a child reaches out enough times and meets silence, or irritation, or an empty room and finally runs the math. If no one's coming, I'll be the one who comes. And I want to say one honest thing here. For some of you, the neglect didn't arrive alone. It came with something louder. Emotional neglect and overt harm often share the same house. If that was yours, your self-reliance wasn't a quirk. It was a fortress. And at the time, it was the right call. You didn't deserve what made it necessary, and you're allowed to get help carrying it now. Here's the part nobody says. You're proud of this one. You're the strongest person you know. And you should be. That strength is real. It's just that a fortress that kept you safe at 8 is a lonely place to live at 29. You're allowed to keep the strength and still set down the wall. So there they are, flinching at praise, apologizing for existing, keeping the peace, going blank on your own feelings, bracing when things are good. The ache in someone else's warm kitchen, carrying everyone, receiving no one, rehearsing the unhappened. And underneath it all, I have to do this alone. None of these are flaws. They're 9 smart solutions to a problem you never should have had to solve. And here's the part that stings a little. Whoever raised you probably had the same 9. This didn't start with you. It doesn't have to end with you either, but right now, you're the first one in the line looking straight at it. If you want one thing to try, here it is. Next time you catch yourself bracing, or apologizing, or rehearsing, ask a single question. Am I responding to what's in front of me right now, or to a room that closed 20 years ago? You won't always know, but the question itself opens a gap, and in that gap, just once, you get to choose differently. That's the whole game, not fixing yourself overnight. One honest question, one a bit at a time. Lena's still learning to let a compliment land without checking it for a catch. It's clumsy. It's also the bravest thing she's done all year. Here's what I'll leave you with. You were never too much, and you were never not enough. You were a kid who adapted brilliantly to a world that asked too much of one small person. The adapting kept you here. And now, slowly, you get to stop. Tell me one thing in the comments, which of the 9 landed hardest? Just the number. I read them. Someone scrolling past is going to find their own habit in yours, and feel a little less alone for it. And if you want videos that hand you something to do with what you recognized, not just a name for the ache, that's what this channel is for. A question. A way out. That's the reason to stick around. One last note before you go. This video is for understanding, not diagnosis. If any of this sits heavier than a video should, if the ache feels like more than recognition, please reach out to a licensed professional. In the US, you can call or text 988 anytime, free. Outside the US, findahelpline.com lists options near you. You noticed all 9. That's not nothing. It's the thing your younger self never got someone, finally, paying attention.